InspectPoint is a software specifically created for the fire protection industry, optimizing the process and workflow for everything from inspection, testing, and maintenance to follow-up service. Everything from scheduling, NFPA or ULC compliant inspections, deficiency follow-ups, and work orders. Check them out today at inspectpoint.com/FSP for a free 1-month trial.
Like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast. I have Cam Little, the 2022 UA Apprenticeship Champion, on the call today. Cam, how's it going today?
Good. Yourself?
It's still too early to actually, it's really late in the day. This is probably one of the latest podcasts I've recorded lately, but not too bad so far. Cam was the 2022 Sprinkler Fitter Apprentice competition with the UA. And we're going to find out a little bit about the process leading up to that, how the competition was, and just find out who this, you were called yourself the kid, is that dusted the competition this year. So you're 22, you're a third year apprentice.
Yep.
And you went into the international competition weeks before going to your first term of trade school.
Correct.
Why did you decide, you know what, before I even hit trade school up once, I'm going to go to be the best?
I was under the impression that you could go back and try it again. So I figured might as well compete and see what happens. Right. So I just applied online early in the year, went to the first competition at 853 for the provincial level, and never would have thought would have taken it this far, but here we are.
What was it like, the local competition? That was kind of how do they organize these events? Is it Ontario first and then Canada second and then international next?
Yeah, so you're actually competing in two kind of divisions of competition. You have the UA competition, and then you have the Skills Ontario and Skills Canada. So the provincial competition for us was both the regional for the UA, and it was the Skills Ontario competition. So
okay.
It was kind of a mix between, and that qualified you for the next level of both.
What level, like what kind of things did you have to do to qualify? Like, was it like a direct kind of head-to-head competition, or is it kind of get everybody out there, see who it is, and then they kind of not draw straws out of a hat, but is it a legit competition, or is it we're going to pick you to go?
Yeah, it was a legitimate competition.
Awesome.
It was a hands-on project, theory exam, and some math to go with the main project, some rolling offsets and stuff like that.
So theory, you had to get into, assuming 13, 20, 25, and have a good basis of that before even going to trade school and beating these guys who have been doing it for probably 4 years.
Yeah.
Seems like a good idea at the time, eh?
Yeah.
Well, and I've spoken with a couple people and have talked to them about you competing and winning and then attending trade school for the first time, weeks after. And my immediate reply to their, why would he do that, is it doesn't matter because he won.
Right.
Yeah. You said that you thought you could apply multiple times, but that's not the case. I learned after that you're only eligible once. So you get one kick at the can, and if you aren't successful, that's it.
Yeah.
So you went in there not knowing that. What did they tell you that after you were one or two phases through, or was it like after you won, they were like, hey, you can't do this again?
So the final phase, going to the international competition in Ann Arbour, that's the one where that's the glory, right? That's the big win. And that's the one that you can't go back to. So once you qualify for that, that's your one shot to make it.
Awesome. And so after you did the Skills Ontario, does that go to, is that the Canadian, or is that still the regional.
So following Skills Ontario, which was in at the UA 853 Training Center, the whole national Canada competition for skills was in Vancouver, BC this year.
Okay.
So there was another competition there, and some of them, different competitions, progressed to a world level there, but sprinkler wasn't one of those.
Really? So HVAC or plumbing could go worldwide. And within the UA with sprinkler, it's still, I did they send when I went to Ann Arbor the one year, they had sprinkler fitters from Australia come.
Yeah, one of the competitors for sprinkler, and there was one for plumbing as well, were Australian.
Oh yeah. What was their, not to talk any, because I do have some listeners there, were successful? They were obviously the best in Australia.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. How did you see the level of skills that you were competing against? Obviously it was getting better and better and better. Did you ever think when you were at the international competition in Ann Arbor, that was there any point in there when you were like, you know what, like maybe I am out of my realm?
I mean, there were definitely some moments like that. Obviously, not being to school, I've missed out on some theory education, obviously, and that was where I felt I would be lacking,
right,
having not gone to school. Also, some of these guys go on huge shutdowns and do rigging of welded headers and stuff like that, but don't really see much of that in Windsor region where I'm from. So everybody has their own experience and has a one up in a certain area. So you just kind of do your best at every stage and see how it turns out at the end.
What kind of preparation did you do for the events? Like, I'm assuming you were buried in NFPA 13 and you work for a good sprinkler company. Just for anybody that's listening, Cam is basically the direct competition to my family business. He's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me, where this is probably the closest I've ever had a guest on the podcast that I wasn't actually face to face with them. And that was just a timing thing. I wanted to get something out here. We were supposed to record this back in September, and then I got busy. You went to trade school and our schedules just didn't line up. And then finally I said, we're doing it this week. Let's do it. But how helpful was the guys at Troy Life and Fire at pushing you across this? Jamie?
Jamie was really supportive. He, no problem to the time off, go get him, anything I needed. He was there. Actually, the provincial competition, the first one to qualify, was a plastic project, and I like Blaze Master, and I had kind of gotten a heads up of that, but I'd never done it before. So I went to the shop on the Saturday before and messed around, made like a little header out of 1-inch Blaze Master and put a hydro test on it.
You touched CPVC for the first time the week before the competition?
Yeah, like days before.
All right, man. I mean, that's cool. It worked. It doesn't matter if I think it was a good idea, because in the end, I don't think they give you a belt. Is it a championship belt? What do they give you?
So we get a ring for the winning the international and the national competition. So I should have 2 rings coming in the mail, hopefully soon.
Yeah, for sure. Those will be really cool. I make sure you send me a picture of them when you get them there. That'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
Like a championship ring, like the Super Bowl. Probably a little less elaborate, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not quite that level, but hopefully still some bling.
And what about, I'm assuming the fitters that you work with, all the guys down in Windsor, Jamie, Jeff, and all those guys, how supportive were they with this? You probably got a little bit of a hard time just being the kid going competition for sprinkler. I get it all the time being the guy who does a podcast, but how helpful were they? Did they help you with any projects or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. I had some questions during my kind of studying and getting ready for the competitions, but more importantly, just working on a day-to-day basis. That's where I've gained most of the knowledge, doing service and installs, and most of my knowledge towards the competition came from real world experience rather than my study.
Right. So you get you kind of get your hands on a lot of wide range of projects down in Windsor.
Yeah, as you know, like smaller area, you get to kind of experience more than bigger areas where you may be stuck on the same project for your entire apprenticeship, right?
Yeah, that's
So
the things I've always said is that it's kind of one of the worst things. It's nice to be on those big 100-story projects in Toronto, but at the same time, you could see that for a large portion of your career,
yeah,
especially
absolutely.
building them now.
Yeah, we have a pretty lucky to have a diverse kind of scope of work.
Absolutely. What was the whole experience within the UA going from being a third year apprentice going into the competition? Did you get positive feedback, negative feedback? Were they trying to push you away from competing for the first time right away?
No, they were. I mean, it was a pretty limited sign up, I believe. So they were more than happy to have me out.
Mhm.
And after I won the provincial one, they were totally on board with helping me and giving me code books and stuff like that to help me succeed.
Mhm.
Uh,
Awesome. Now, with it being National Apprentice Week, congratulations on being an apprentice. How
Thank you.
did you find how did you actually find your first level of trade school coming in there with the again, it's not a belt, but the ring. You didn't have the ring yet, but going in there as the, hey guys, I just got back from Ann Arbour where I won the international sprinkler apprenticeship competition, and then sitting next and having to go through the books and stuff like that. Did you learn a lot in trade school, or was it because of the level of knowledge you needed to go going into the competition? Was it kind of more of the same thing?
It was a lot of the same thing actually. It would have been really helpful to have gone to trade school before doing the competition. I'll admit, it would have made it a lot easier.
Uh-huh.
Um, there were, yeah, there were some things that were kind of basic after going to that level, but at the same time, I did learn a lot, and it was good to talk to other guys and share experiences and that kind of thing. Answer questions that they had about the competition. It was good.
Yeah, and even hopefully you'll be pushing some of the people in your class that just guilty by association. Oh, I went to school with Cam, and maybe they'll compete next year or the year after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I tried to convince some of them. We'll see if they sign up in the new year or not, but I hope so.
Yeah, you might be busy helping people other apprentices going through coaching, mentoring, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the being the winner of the UA National and the UA International, I'll go to the Canadian competition in Montreal next year to kind of be a judge and help out with whatever they need. Uh, and they do that every year. And then in Ann Arbor, I'll actually go back and basically be like a chaperone for the sprinkler apprentices next year.
Oh yeah,
So I
better
basically,
or worse.
yeah, they they rent vans, and uh, I basically chaperone drive them from the hotel to the school and everything like that.
Oh, so you get to be a DD.
Basically.
Yeah, congratulations on winning. You get to you get to be the DD. That's really nice of them. What obviously you said it would have been way better to go to trade school, but again, that didn't matter because you were successful. Um, what do you think the difference is between how do you think the UA apprenticeship has kind of helped develop just the kind of the way we do our UA apprenticeships with fitters and apprentices, one-to-one ratios and stuff like that? How do you think that helped you along the way?
I think the apprenticeship model is great. The system we have, I mean, the UA spends, I believe, north of 270 million a year just on training its members. So uh, obviously, there's a strong commitment to making sure that we're the most educated that we can be, right? So in terms of the learning throughout the apprenticeship, I think the UA has control over their schooling portion and what they teach you when you come. But at the end of the day, your experience and your contractor kind of determine your outcome of your apprenticeship. I think that has more weight. Like I touched on earlier, your experience and maybe getting stuck on the same project might not be great for your skill set, right? But that doesn't mean you can't learn in the future.
Yeah, and I know there's other different areas within the UA. I think Chicago actually has it set up where you're not allowed to even be employed by the same contractor for your entire apprenticeship.
Yeah, actually, I think some of the guys at the competition were talking about that. They have to switch every year or 2 years throughout their apprenticeship.
Yeah, I think Chicago's it's 4 or 5 year apprenticeship, same as ours. I think it's 4 years, and they're allowed to do 2 years with the company that sponsors them and gets them in, and then they got to switch companies until the end of the apprenticeship. And then when you're a journeyman, you can stick around as long as you want.
Right.
Which is I don't think that's a bad model either.
No, absolutely. I think, sometimes you might be good to be forced out and try. Not saying that people, if you're unhappy with your situation, but just sometimes you get comfortable and it's good to see other things.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. The what you think you're going to put the books down for a little while, or are you going to continue kind of staying up to date with the latest stuff in the industry?
I mean, even before the competition, I would typically go home after work, and not every day. I'm not an all-star, but
well, I mean, technically you are an all-star by definition.
No, but if there were things I saw at work, or if there are questions I had, I would go home and try and do my own research and come back the next day and know a little bit more, right? Kind of expand some knowledge, and maybe read an extra page and have the knowledge to kind of know what's going on tomorrow, rather than go in clueless.
Okay, so it's really not surprising that you were able to go into the competition as a first year or third year apprentice with that mentality. That's the mentality that a lot of apprentices, I won't say lack, but maybe don't pick up on all the time, where, even fitters, it doesn't stop when you get your ticket. The industry is still changing. The book changes every 3 years. There's always stuff to stay current with. And, the UA fitter upgrade courses are a great way to stay current and update your knowledge as it goes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cam, is there anything else you want to say? Anybody you want to thank for helping you get through this competition?
I mean, I definitely a thanks to our fitters in Windsor for working with me and teaching me, even if they didn't know it, throughout the past couple of years.
Minus James. I'll say James. He doesn't listen, but James, you suck, buddy. Go on.
yeah, he's no good. No, but definitely the fitters in Windsor, and Troy was very supportive, and very, very happy with that. And definitely Nick Smirnov, training director at 853. He was a great help along the way, trying to set me up with code books and stuff like that to make sure I was prepared and trained to represent 853 to the best of my ability. And
I would say you did a damn good job of doing it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cam, thanks for coming on the podcast and talking about your experience at the apprenticeship competition, and we'll see you around.
Good.
This episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast is brought to you by the Laying It Down for Camp Bucko fundraiser being put on by the Fire Sprinkler Podcast. With local partners Wallace Kent Sprinkler, Troy Life and Fire Safety, Greater Toronto Fire Protection, Lamsar, and Joseph Hullage, with major provider of the fire hoses being brought to you by the Toronto Community Housing, we are well over the 63 kilometers required to break the world record. We're putting off the world record attempt until spring to allow for more donations to come in. www.firesprinklerpodcast.com for more information on how you can donate. Camp Bucko is the burn camp for kids of Ontario. It's open to burn survivors between the ages of 7 and 17. The camp has grown to over 70 children attending the week-long camp in August. There's no fee to attend Camp Bucko, and we'd like to keep it that way. Hoses are $20 a length to sponsor right now. All proceeds going to Camp Bucko. Thanks for your support.